The first and foremost question about Paradise has to be about Blake. Things seem to get really bad really fast for Blake.
Yeah.
Where do you think he went wrong?
Going to Stagecoach, apparently. Blake's just a young man who got his hand caught in the cookie jar a few times.
So Blake slept with Christina. Blake slept with Kaylin. Is he sleeping with Tayshia? Is he sleeping with Hannah? Did he bang Chris Harrison?
So, how bad do things get for him? Is there any redemption for Blake?
Well, I mean, things get about as bad as they can. My thing about Blake is this. He made the initial mistake. And it's bad. It's just, there's nothing good about it.
The initial mistake being?
The Stagecoach, the disaster that was Stagecoach, where he was with Christina. The next night was with Kaylin.
Yeah. Okay.
Not a good look. Not a great move. Not smart at all. Thinking he was somehow going to get away with that and just stroll into Paradise and it was going to be just this great time and he would move on, that is what is beyond me. That's what I don't understand. What was he thinking was going to happen?
He seems upset that it's on camera.
Well, I think with Kaylin, apparently they had some sort of understanding. I think the understanding was in his head that she was just going to quietly go into the night and, hey, I'm just going to come in and do my thing and still look like a great guy. Surprisingly, Kaylin didn't go along with that. And then I liked how he kind of then put it on her. So again, there's a lot of bad moves compounded by really bad decisions, compounded by Stagecoach.
Paradise has kind of become a place for the term F-boy to live and thrive. Yeah. Is Blake the worst offender in Paradise history with the way he's treating some of these women?
Well, I think you've seen in the ads that Dean will be in Paradise. Yeah. When Dean looks at you and says, wow, you've really gone a little overboard in that department, that's saying a lot.
Okay.
I mean, because Dean is the gold standard.
Right.
But when Dean and his mustache both judge you, you know you've done wrong.
There's a lot of maintenance that goes into keeping this thing as beautiful as it is.
Yeah. Okay. And Blake also seems to really spiral real quickly. I mean, we see him saying, I gotta get out of here. What is that breakdown like? And what were producers kind of saying to him to keep him in check?
Probably the other biggest surprise for me with Blake is that he didn't leave. And I mean, I just would have jumped into the ocean and swam. I just would have left. I don't know why he didn't leave.
You would have pulled a castaway.
100%. Okay. Like me and Spalding or Wilson. What was it, Wilson? I would have just left. I mean, I don't know what kept him there. And that is the amazing thing about Paradise and about The Bachelor and Bachelorette is like he still thinks somehow he's going to maneuver this. And you know what? Hannah G. Yeah, I'm going to go make a run at that.
Why did she hook up with Blake?
Yeah, and then Hannah starts making out with Blake. And, you know, even Demi was like, what are you doing? He's a loser.
What do you think she was doing?
I don't know.
Okay.
But that, I guess, is the beauty of the show, is that it's still, like, the fact that Blake thought, this has been the worst 3 days of my life. I have been outed in the worst possible way. I'm not going to leave. I'm going to triple down. I'm going to, after making out with Tayshia, I'm going to go for Hannah.
Okay. So do things end happily for Blake?
I don't see how they could.
Okay.
Right? I mean, is it possible? Maybe. It's Paradise.
Okay.
I don't see how they could. And note to Blake. No music festivals this year, bud.
He does seem sort of surprised that his exes keep showing up. And this seems a moment of, dude, you do know this TV show, right? Really,
that is the biggest question of all. What were you thinking?
Yeah.
On so many levels.
Right.
And of all that to be so... It's only arrogance, I guess, to think that you were going to stroll into Paradise and that we wouldn't know as producers, that the girls weren't going to talk, that everything would just magically go away because you're some great guy. And again, maybe he was believing the hype, drinking his own Kool-Aid, thinking that all the people that tell him out in public that he's the greatest guy ever, maybe he thought he was the greatest guy ever. Mm. And maybe this is exactly what he needed, was a swift kick in the ass.
Okay. So what can he do from here?
Hopefully just grow and learn. And, you know, look, let me just say this about Blake. he's not a bad guy. You know, he didn't rob a bank. He's not a terrible human being. He didn't do anything illegal. Yet he is single. That part he got right. I am a single guy. He also needs to realize just because you're a single guy doesn't mean you can do what you did.
The promos for this season look insane.
Yeah.
You have said best season of Paradise ever. Is this season the season with the most sex Paradise has ever seen?
I didn't count. My abacus got lost. I don't know if it's the most sex.
Well, here's the thing. We've come off the season with Hannah where she
Right.
just said what happened in the fantasy suites. And it was a powerful moment, and it kind of changed the game a little bit. Will there be just more talk and more acknowledging? Because even in the premiere, we get people talking about Blake and I hooked up at Stagecoach. Is there more discussion?
Well, it seems, yeah, maybe you're right. I didn't think about, I don't know if that means there's more sex in Paradise. I think there's more talk about past lives. And again, this is the show evolving, and this is Paradise evolving. And the fact that all of these people do go to Stagecoach, go to all these festivals, go to all these events and all these getaways now where they're put up in Vegas or whatever for a week, and they all hook up and they all commingle and they all talk and they're all constantly maneuvering and manipulating. And that's what was happening heading into Paradise. So yeah, Blake was laying the groundwork heading into Paradise. So all of them were. We know this. We know exactly what they're doing, what they're up to. The only big mistake they make is thinking we don't know.
I like how you say commingling.
Yeah, commingling.
Is that a nice word for...
Did I use air quotes around that? But yeah, so yeah, we know. And the fact that they think that they're just going to stroll in and we don't know this.
Yeah.
But the
you
best laid
having-
plans.
The best laid plans. You having been the constant in the show, you are seeing this evolution as a fan of how much people talk about sex. How do you feel about seeing that discussion change and evolve in every aspect of the franchise Bachelor, Bachelorette, Paradise?
I think it's, the show's always been a microcosm of what's happening in the real world. And I think there's more conversation about sexuality, sex, race, religion, all this stuff. I just think a lot of our taboo subjects are becoming more commonplace, and we're having a lot more debate and talk about all of this stuff in our households, much less on the show. And so I think it's just bleeding over, and that's always been the case for the show. We evolve with what's going on in the world, and so I think it's better. I think it's great. I think we're having some open, honest conversations. I think you're watching some conversations on the show thinking, yeah, me and my girls talk about that. You know, that's what's really happening on a date.
So you told me that you'll probably wait until at least towards the end of Paradise to announce Bachelor.
Yeah, probably the end.
The end?
Yeah.
Finale?
I don't know for sure.
Okay.
So don't hold me to this, but it'll, just when the shows come up, the live shows, it's towards the end. So just makes sense that we wouldn't do it randomly. But you never know with us. And when I say you never know, I don't know.
Who on Paradise?
It could come out today after this interview. It could come out and I'd be like, yeah, no, I knew about that.
Okay, well, who is it?
Well, I don't know.
Who on Paradise?
No, my guess is we're going to announce towards the end, if not the end of Paradise.
Who on Paradise is a Bachelor contender?
I don't know yet.
Oh, Mike? I mean...
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Look, there's some people on there, but I guess what I mean by not knowing is, and I'm just going to throw somebody out there like Nick Vial, like, Chris Bukowski or something. I'm just pulling a random one out there. Chris is not a candidate right now, but I'm just saying someone like that who all of a sudden just pops and just goes nuts, and everybody just gravitates towards him, and he has this amazing story, and you don't know, and that's why we wait now, because in all credit to Paradise, it's become a huge franchise. It's become so powerful that it does move the needle, and it didn't used to do that so much that we had to really pay attention to it. Now it's a big deal, and so someone could come off this show and either be a complete disaster, and now they're out of the discussion, or now you're in the discussion. So it can be a game changer.
Well, people have talked about Mike Johnson.
Yeah.
Do Paradise goings-on help or hurt his chances to be Bachelor?
I don't know.
You've seen the footage.
I've seen the reality. I don't know the footage yet. No, I don't know. It's Mike's a good guy. I'll say this: he's going to come out being the same good guy.
Okay.
He's a nice guy. But so is Clay. So is Derek. It's a great cast this year.
And what about Peter's chances for Bachelor? Where do they stand these days?
Still flying high.
Yeah? Up in the air, soaring.
Up in the air. Safety first. No, Peter obviously is a legit candidate as well.
Let's talk about Tyler.
Yeah.
Tyler, a lot of fandom for him as Bachelor. Then him and Hannah are getting a drink. Then he's reportedly on a date with supermodel Gigi Hadid. What does a Gigi Hadid moment do for Tyler's chances for Bachelor?
Good on Tyler. Is that if that is true? I don't know it to be true. Only Entertainment Tonight would have such information.
If Tyler went on a date with Gigi, I also got to ask, what do you think that says to Hannah? Because they were definitely just together. There are confirmed photos of them having had that drink.
Right. Well, did Hannah say that they were just going to be friends or wanted to be friends?
She said it could go either way.
Yeah, I don't know. You have to talk to Hannah and Gigi.
Gonna talk to Hannah
and Tyler. But good on him.
Well, but really though, let me ask you. I mean, you guys have to be looking at these months before, or these weeks before Bachelor gets announced. Tyler's a good-looking guy. He's a model. If he is going out and dating supermodels and other people, how do you think that looks? How does it affect
it definitely, something like that would definitely weigh in the conversation. Again, why we're waiting. Let's see how these guys react. Let's see who really is sincere at the end of the day, because we do have a couple of months before we have to start production and really get into this. And so we have time. And so, yeah, if Tyler's bouncing around from girl to girl and loving the life and enjoying the limelight, which, by the way, good on him. That's fine. If that's what you want to do right now, I don't blame him. He's probably enjoying life really, really well. But that's not someone we're going to want to have as our bachelor or bachelorette. Okay. So it's about sincerity. It's about where you are in your life. And if that's where he is in his life, then he's not the guy for us.
Speaking of not the guy, Jed goes on after the final rose with you, apologizes. Then he gets caught appearing to like on Instagram comments of people hating on Hannah.
Yeah.
Do you think Jed's apology was sincere? Do you think he's changed at all?
To be honest, I don't know him well enough. I haven't talked to him since that day that we left the studio. I've heard the same thing, that he went and liked some stuff on social media. I don't know. Here's the thing about Jed. I'm sure he has regret. I'm sure he was sorry. I really do think he was sorry. He felt bad because I talked to him off camera as well that day, and he was remorseful, and he hated how everything turned out and how it came out. Because I do think at the end of the day, he actually did fall in love with Hannah. That part I believe very much, because this all happened off camera. I sat with him in his trailer before we went on camera, and it was really weird how I think he just kind of accidentally fell in love with this girl and wasn't expecting it, and it kind of screwed everything up. Now, go back that he was trying to pull the wool over everyone's eyes. We can go deep into that. But at the end of the day, he fell in love with Hannah, and he didn't see that coming, and it kind of messed up everything.
Everything meaning his plans for
his
music
plan,
career.
his grand master plan for his family, the girlfriend back home, all this stuff. It kind of blew everything up. And so I think it caught him off guard. And so I think he's remorseful and sorry for a lot of the things that went down. I'm sure there's some things he would like to say as well, now that Hannah's come out and been so vocal about a lot of things that she did. And so I'm sure he has his feelings hurt. And it's got to, if he really did love her, which I do think he did, the admission of what she was doing with Peter probably hurt his feelings. The admission of how much she really likes Tyler and wants to go see him immediately probably hurts his feelings and hurts his pride and his ego. So I get it.
But do you think he was really sorry for what he did to Hannah, or was he just sorry about how badly he'd screwed everything up?
I think you can go back to Blake. Are you sorry, or are you sorry you got caught? And there's a big difference between that.
Well, it's interesting because I actually was thinking, we're kind of watching Blake. I mean, Blake's not Jed, but we're watching Blake through a similar lens of how he watched the Jed thing, knowing what he'd done, and now we're going to see everything play out.
Yeah.
You guys are kind of balancing that with the show these last couple seasons, like things that have happened off camera. It's what we're actually getting to now see is the behind the scenes of how it all went down. Well, is that interesting to you?
It is interesting in how, there is a 24/7 cycle going on now with The Bachelor and Bachelorette. And so, it bleeds into the show. And it used to be the show would create the conversation that would therein create the story that goes on. And then those stories would live on after the show. Now, it's kind of the tail wagging the dog, in that there's story coming into the show that's creating conversation and driving the story. And you're having to embrace that. And Blake's a good example. And I think, to our credit as producers, we jumped into the Blake story night one. You're going to see that Monday, Tuesday night, premiere night. This story's happening. Kaylin's in there. Christina Schulman's in there. And even there's a different story with Clay that we haven't really talked about, that we'll get into, about another story with a girlfriend he was involved in and other cast members. And so that we're having to embrace for sure.
I don't care who sees this. I know that I love this girl. I'm just so happy that I found her, and I can definitely picture being with her for the rest of my life.
Let's talk about a story I'm excited about, which is Demi.
Yeah.
What was that like for you guys? I mean, the crew and the production people, you guys have worked on this show for years, and now to watch the first queer relationship play out, was it emotional? How did it feel for you?
I'm really proud as a host, a producer, just as a man and a father of two, of how we handled it. And at the end of the day, I always tell the producers, and most of them are younger than I am, all you can do is make the best decision at the time and handle it the best way you feel like you can. And I feel like we did. It's a sensitive subject. It shouldn't be, and we're trying to kind of rip that Band-Aid off. But it is, and it's very, it's going to be taboo. And I'm not so naive as to think it's all going to be positive. The fact that we're doing this and we're diving into this. I'm proud of Demi. I'm proud of our producers. I'm proud of the way we handled it. I think it's great. And it's time. It's more than time. But I'm glad that we've done it in the right way, very organically, allowing it to happen naturally.
Yeah, well, I mean, Demi had already said she's gotten some hate already online for it. So do you imagine that's what you're saying? There will be more of that kind of backlash from some people?
Yeah. I've talked to Demi. I talked to her after all this was over. And, she was crying. We were all crying. We were hugging. And we were very careful of how we handled this whole thing. And I think we did a great job. But I told everybody, because we were in our little cocoon. And everybody was, was very celebratory and very happy. And I said, just know that there's going to be negative that comes with this from within that community and from without. And that'll be the interesting thing is within that community, we're going to get backlash. And I'm prepared for that. That's just the world we live in with social media and everything else. You didn't handle it right. You didn't do it the right way. You didn't do it their way. Everyone's going to have their spin on it, their perspective, and how they want to see it. This is how we did it. This is how we portrayed it. And I will stand behind it.
We love Demi. She puts on a crown in that intro.
She's the queen.
Is she the queen of paradise?
She's the queen of paradise. She's the queen of any room she walks in. I love Demi, and I'm again, I think that you don't get to handpick who you do something like this with, but I couldn't have handpicked somebody better because I think she's up to the task. But just know that what you see with Demi is not what you get. She's not bulletproof. She's not a tank. Usually, it's those that speak the loudest and have the best self-deprecating sense of humor are the most sensitive, and she is sensitive. And so I'm worried about her in that she looks like she's strong and bring it on, and she has that queen mentality, but she's vulnerable and she has feelings too. And so I told her, I was like, I'm there for you 24/7 if you need anything, because I think it's going to be hard for her.
BIP has, though, been very successful in the past. I mean, Jade and Tanner just had their second baby on Bachelor finale.
In a closet.
In a closet. Evan and Carly, Ashley and Jared are getting married. How successful is this season? What can you tease?
Adam and Raven.
Yes.
Engaged. Goose and Crystal are getting married on the show. I actually marry them coming up, I think maybe next week. And so it's been massively successful. But again, people say why? Well, the percentages are greater. There's 20 some odd people running around on that beach. And so the chance of coupling up is much higher. This is going to be a successful season. There will be love found in paradise.
Rumors out that another ABC show might be getting some Bachelor love. Hannah may be going on Dancing with the Stars. Colton. Do you know anything about this?
Why is it Tyler?
Could we get Tyler?
Well, Tyler dances.
Yes, he
had
classes.
The whole Footloose thing.
Yes.
At the big So, I don't know. I really don't know who's on. I really don't. Don't look at me like that. I don't know. But if Hannah's on, she'd be great. Colton, I don't think will be great. Colton's awesome. Here's what Colton's going to have to do. Just take his shirt off from day one.
Okay.
And use his unbelievable charm, charisma, and personality.
You mean his dancing won't be great?
Yeah.
We saw him in the bloopers for his season.
No, I love Colton.
Yeah.
He's like my little brother. He's not a good dancer.
He could improve?
No.
Oh.
He has no rhythm.
Okay.
At all. That doesn't come to you.
It could be great television.
It'll be great TV.
Yeah.
And he'll go far. Because here's the thing with Colton. He is a ridiculous athlete. Obviously, he's a world-class athlete. And he grinds and he will try. So he will put in the effort. So I think, but I'm talking he's at a 0. Yeah. He might get to a 2 if he crushes it. Whereas like a Hannah is a performer. I think she can dance. She'll be at a 4, can get up to an 8.
Okay.
So,
Who do you think would be more likely to win?
man, athletes have a great history on the show, but usually it's the athletes that are good dancing. Good at, so I don't know. I'm going to say Hannah.
Okay.
I'm going to say Hannah would have a better chance at winning, just because after a while we love Colton. People are going to vote for Colton because of that. He'll be, shirtless with puppies and stuff somehow doing the merengue, but I don't think he can go all the way.
I would love to see Colton just dancing with a puppy.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. And everyone's just like, oh my God, he's going to win.
Why haven't you ever done it?
Why would I?
To brush up on your rumba skills?
First of all, I can dance. I have skills.
You're right. You don't need it.
I don't feel like the world gets that from me.
Wow. Thank you for keeping it so personal.